Imagine living in a small room with barely enough space to move, dedicating every moment to service, love, and spiritual growth. In this episode, we dive into the Dakshineswar Days of Sri Sarada Devi, a time of immense personal sacrifice, deep devotion to Sri Ramakrishna, and unparalleled spiritual training. How did she find peace in such hardship? Let's explore. In this chapter, we journey through the years Sri Sarada Devi spent at Dakshineswar, where her life was filled with both physical challenges and spiritual responsibilities. She lived in a tiny room, tirelessly serving Sri Ramakrishna and his growing number of devotees. But despite these hardships, she embodied unshakable strength, humility, and a deep spiritual discipline that would prepare her for the immense role she would later play. Join us as we unfold the story of her remarkable days at Dakshineswar. Chapter 7. Dakshineswar Days. For about 13 years, the Holy Mother lived at Dakshineswar with short intervals now and then when she would go to Jarambati. At her father's house, she lived a very hard life, but her life at Dakshineswar was even harder. Whereas at Jarambati, she had freedom of movement and always enjoyed fresh air, at Dakshineswar she was cooped up in the Nabat, a small room not more than 50 square feet in area. The master himself used to say, when a free bird is kept imprisoned in a cage, its health suffers, and he was anxious about her health. So considerate was he that when there was nobody near the Nabat at noon, he would ask the Holy Mother to visit the ladies of the locality and escort her as far as the temple gate. She would return in the evening when the service began in the temple, and all people would be drawn there. She was very shy by nature, and hardly anybody could see her though she lived at Dakshineswar for such a long time. An officer of the temple once remarked, "We have heard she lives there, but never have we seen her." She would get up very early in the morning, at about 3 or 4, attend to her ablutions, including a bath in the Ganga, and enter her tiny room from where she would come out, if there was any necessity, only at night when people were away. This went on day after day. The door of the room was so low that she had to bend far down to enter. In the beginning, she had hard knocks on her head while going in, but afterwards she said she got accustomed to the height and avoided injury. This small room was her bedroom, kitchen, storeroom, and everything else. Even on slings, she would hang part of her store. Sometimes she had to accommodate other companions here too, mainly the women disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Ladies from Calcutta who came to visit Sri Ramakrishna would take pity on the Holy Mother and say, "See, our good girl has to live in such a small room. She is, as it were, in exile like Sita." In the beginning, she had to cook only for 2 or 3 persons, her mother-in-law, the master, and the like. But as the number of devotees of Sri Ramakrishna began to swell, she had to cook for more and more persons. On a birthday of the master, she had to cook for 40 or 50 persons in that room. Sometimes she had to cook to suit different tastes. Narain, afterwards Swami Vivekananda, would like thick gram soup. Ramchandra would ask for chapatis. Rakal preferred kachuri. Sometimes at odd hours, she had to arrange meals for devotees. But the Holy Mother was always equal to the occasion. She was never ruffled, never annoyed. She was sweetness itself and all motherliness. With how much care did she attend to the needs of the master? She was all attention to him. In external behavior, Sri Ramakrishna was just like a child. She had to coax and cajole him to take food. He would be frightened if the quantity of rice in his plate looked large. She would therefore press the heap so carefully that it would look small. She would thicken the milk by boiling, so that he could not judge what quantity of milk he was taking. Sometimes she had to suppress the truth about the quantity of food he took. She said that it was not wrong to take the help of a fib as regards food under such circumstances. Sri Ramakrishna used to say jokingly that there was this great need of having a wife. She can cook for the husband. When the Holy Mother was away, he would be in difficulty and feel nervous, for nobody else could take sufficient care of him. The Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna stayed in 2 rooms about 75 feet apart, but sometimes they would not meet for months. Still, what a great warmth of feeling existed between them. The idea of husband and wife was completely obliterated between the two, but no married love could compare with the great intensity of love that they had for each other. A little headache of the Holy Mother would make the master anxious, and he would say, "Ramlal, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew, what shall we do? She has a headache." Some unknown critics raised the question that Sri Ramakrishna in his quest after the infinite was unkind to his wife inasmuch as he did not live a married life. But no wife on earth has been the recipient of so much love and consideration from her husband as Sarada Muni received from Sri Ramakrishna. The relationship between Sri Ramakrishna and the Holy Mother was not without humor. Once while she was staying in the cottage built by Shambhu Malik, Sri Ramakrishna went to her in the evening, but as it started raining heavily, he could not again return to his own room that night. At this, Sri Ramakrishna remarked to her, "I am staying here just as the temple priests go to their family houses." Once a woman came to Sri Ramakrishna in great agony of mind seeking peace. Sri Ramakrishna sent her to the Nahabat, saying that in that house lived one who knew the remedy. When the woman approached the Holy Mother and repeated what Sri Ramakrishna had said, she understood the joke that was being played upon her. The Holy Mother explained to the woman that she was nothing and that Ramakrishna was everything and sent her back to him. This was repeated a couple of times. At last, the Holy Mother gave the woman a bilva leaf used in worship, which had a miraculous effect on her life. Once there was a controversy as to who between Sri Ramakrishna and another person was fairer in complexion, and Sri Ramakrishna proposed that the Holy Mother should be the umpire. Both the competitors walked side by side in front of the Nahabat so that she might see and judge. Observing strict impartiality, she gave the verdict in favor of the other person, and Sri Ramakrishna lost the contest. In the early hours of the morning, Sri Ramakrishna used to rouse from sleep the Holy Mother and his niece Lakshmi Devi, who then lived with her, so that they might sit for meditation. If there was no response from inside, or he suspected that they were asleep, he poured water through the door and quietly walked away. Above all, her stay in Dakshineswar was a period of great spiritual training. As mentioned before, she would get up every day between 3 and 4 in the morning, and after a bath in the Ganga begin her meditation. The whole day would be spent in devoted service to the Master, and again in the evening, she would practice meditation. In this respect, she was mercilessly strict with herself. As she narrated afterwards, one day she was out of sorts and thought it was legitimate to get up late. This she did, and the next day also the same action was repeated. Following this practice for 2 or 3 days, she found that she had become an unconscious victim of lethargy. After that, she would get up at the fixed time, whatever might be her health. This she followed throughout her whole life. Even in times of severe illness, unless quite disabled, she would get up in the early hours and meditate. To the loving remonstrances of her anxious attendants at her being so strict with herself, even in old age, she would pay no heed. Once at Dakshineswar, while going to the bathing ghats so early in the morning, she almost stumbled upon a crocodile lying on the steps. It got alarmed by her footsteps and jumped into the river. After that, when going to the Ganga, she would carry a lantern. Seeing the reflection of the moon on the water of the Ganga, she would pray, "There are dark spots even on the moon, but do thou, O Lord, make me absolutely spotless." On moonlit nights, she would fervently pray that she might be as pure as the light of the moon. If you're inspired by stories of quiet strength and hidden spiritual power, then don't miss our next chapter on Sri Sarada Devi's spiritual journey, titled Foreshadowing the Future. In this episode, you'll discover how she, under the guidance of Sri Ramakrishna, embraced a path of silent spiritual mastery. Tune in to explore the subtle signs that pointed to her future as a beacon of light for countless seekers. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.